All right, guys, so we have some amazing news concerning the selective summons. Devs just basically dropped some information that completely changes everything that I just said because now there are going to be more options to pick and more chances. Anyways, let's go ahead and hop into the video. So first things first is that we're going to be having 40 chances now to reroll on the selective summon banner. Honestly, this is pretty huge. It's doubling those chances for you to get the SSR pre-cores that are honestly going to be really important for you progressing through the game, because like the pre-cores are honestly going to give you either like just more strength, chances to get your cooldowns lower, chances to hit a debuff. Very, very powerful, especially at the SSR rank. So this is going to be huge information. So now the second piece of information is the fact that they pretty much doubled the amount of characters that we can get. It sucks because I literally did try to pull all the way for Destar, and here she is. But I will be making an account on global release because honestly, this pool of characters is amazing. I mean, there's some really good characters here now, and there's some that you can't farm for. The first characters that we had on the banner, you were able to farm for, but these ones you can't. So I would stress to get these characters. But we're going to go over these characters and their skill kits, and we're going to talk about like which ones you should be looking at to summon, because honestly, this changes the game. And it's funny because I literally just put out my selective summon tier list video, and here I am again. All right, so I'm gonna talk about these characters in the order that I saw their picture pretty much on the selected banner. So Noah was first up. Noah is gonna be a shadow. She's gonna be grass. Her S1 is going to deal 85% of attack to a target, a 15% chance to inflict defense down for 1 turn. On the alpha, increases chance to defense down by 15% to a water element enemy. On the B, boost damage by 15% to a water element enemy. On the S2, deals 100% of attack to a target, 20% chance to inflict defense down for 2 turns, and then accelerates one ally with grass element except herself by 20%. On the alpha, increased turn gauge, increase of grass element by 10%. On the beta, increased chance of defense down by 25% to a water element enemy. And on the S3, deals 110% of attack to all enemies, 50% chance to inflict crit chance down for 2 turns, 80% chance to inflict one ally with grass element, and then crit chance up for 2 turns. On the alpha, grants element attack up to one grass element ally with the most attack. On the beta, inflicts attack down to a grass element enemy with the most attack. So I'm gonna make this really quick and just consider who you should get. Noah is not going to be somebody, because when you're going through the story, you're not always going to want to have like a full team of grass. You're not always going to be fighting a water element to make a lot of this better. The defense down chance is pretty low. It only really increases if you're fighting water. So I'm going to say she is not a priority of a character that you want to get. I'll honestly add the characters that we have up. I'll add them to the tier list we already have. But Noah, I'm just going to tell you straight up, she is not somebody I would consider for going through story with. All right, next up we have Ekaterina. So she's going to be a shooter, water. Her S1 deals 80% of attack to a target, plus 3% extra damage per opponent team's MP1. On the alpha, 40% chance to gain 1 MP. On the beta, increases plus 2% extra damage per opponent team MP1. On the S2, deals 90% of attack to a target, 60% chance to reduce MP by 1. On the alpha, chance to MP burn becomes 100%. On the beta, increase the number of MP burn by 1. And MP removal removes MP on a target instantly. And on the S3, deals 90% of attack to all enemies and reduces MP by 2. 50% chance to silence the enemy with the most attack for 2 turns on the alpha. And the beta, increases dealing damage by 50% if an opponent team MP is 0. So this is also somebody I'm not going to consider, but this is a character honestly for PvP. This is an amazing character for PvP, because you can lower the amount of like attacks that they have available by lowering their MP, but on enemies like this just isn't as great, honestly. So, and again, I'm making the tier list and these considerations for going through campaign and story. Like other places in the game, yes, these characters have a lot more use, but when you're pushing through story, this is not going to help. All right, so next up is Helena. She is a shadow. She's going to be fire. On her S1, she strikes 3-hit combos to deal 90% of attack to an enemy and stacks up 1 Qigong. Qigong boosts damage of Blossom Death Fist, stackable up to 10 times. On the Alpha, stacks up to 1 Qigong, and then the Beta, 30% chance to use Crane Wing Palm skill. On the S2, Meteor Kick strikes 3-hit combos to deal 110% of attack to an enemy and stack up to 2 energy, stacks up to 2 Qigong, and then on the Beta, 80% chance to reduce Blossom Death Fist cooldown by 1. On the S3, uses stacks Qigong and strikes 9-hit combos to deal additional damage based off the number of stacked Qigong. On the Alpha, 100% chance to grant self-up attack for 1 turn, 100% chance to grant self-attack speed up for 1 turn on the Beta. So this character is, again, another single target attacker. She's able to get a lot of damage off, especially with her Qigong. You can get the extra stacks. You can have a chance to get those stacks up to do more damage with your S3. You also give yourself a attack up, which I'd probably use for pushing through story. In the S2, you know, you can stack up more energy. You have a chance to reduce your ult cooldown. But again, she's a single target. She doesn't have any way to sustain her. So I would put her in the same category as Carson. Like, it's just, she's really, really good. She can do a lot of stuff, but again, just not a priority for pushing story with. All right, and next up we have Destar. She's a healer, dark element. On her S1, deals 80% of attack to an enemy, heals 1 ally with the lowest HP for 5% of her max HP. On the Alpha, 50% chance to gain 1 Rock Spirit stack. On the Beta, 30% chance to trigger Pincer attack. On the S2, deals 90% of attack to all enemies, 30% chance to inflict crit damage down for 1 turn, stacks up 1 Rock Spirit. On the Alpha, 100% chance to gain 1 Rock Spirit stack, and on the Beta, increases chance to crit damage down by 20%. Rock Spirit boosts the healing effect of Rock Festival skills, stackable up to 3 times, and crit damage down lowers crit damage decreased by 80%, which is pretty huge. S3 consumes all Rock Spirit stacks to heal all allies. Healing amount is based on her max HP and the number of Rock Spirit stacks. 60% chance to reverse 1 debuff on all allies to buffs. Total 1 buff in any ally party, and basically debuff reverse. If there's a buff opposite to the debuff on allies, it is converted into the buff. So if you have anti-heal, it's extra heal, attack down, attack up, defense up, stuff like that. Alpha increases the healing amount by 5% of her HP. Beta increases chance to debuff reverse by 20%. Also, this character is really quick. This is the character where, honestly, she was on the banner from when I started on the soft launch, and she was a very great unit to use as a healer after I had done my selective summon, after I had done, like, she's a great addition to the team, but again, not somebody who I would want to pick on a selective summon. So I'm going to put her in the category of Sawar, but also lower priority than Sawar, because you already get a healer at the start of the game. It's like, if you do all of your summons and everything we get from pre-registration and everything, and you get a DPS, and let's say you also get Sawar, then yes, you can pick Destar. But again, you have to have gotten a DPS that is already great and amazing, that is at the higher tiers than Sawar, also have gotten Sawar, and then you can get Destar. So, again, I'm not saying she's a bad character, she's a good character, but just not priority for pushing story. Like, if you completely just whiff all of your summons, like, getting Destar, like, it's just not going to be the best for you, honestly. All right, next up we have Felicia. She's going to be a slasher, grass. On her S1, deals 80% of attack to a target. Alpha, heals self for 15% of damage taken. On the Beta, create shield self with HP equal to 25% of dealing damage for 1 turn. Okay, so she makes a shield based off of 25% of the damage she does. S2, inflicts 130% of attack as a damage on 1 enemy, with a 60% chance to trigger debuff absorption for 1 turn. On the Alpha, receive damage is reduced by 10% as long as debuff absorption is active. On the Beta, increases the duration of debuff absorption by 1 turn. Debuff absorption, the caster absorbs an ally's debuff, and at a reduced debuff damage rate, cancels existing immunity status, and immunity is not reapplied while debuff absorption is in effect. Okay. S3, deals damage equal to 130% of attack to an enemy with a 70% chance to trigger debuff transfer. On the Alpha, increases received damage relative to the number of debuffs active on the hero. On the Beta, increases the duration of debuffs of the debuffs transfer target by 1 turn. Okay, so I understand her kit. So what she basically wants to do is take any debuffs that her allies have, and then she can put them onto the enemy. This is good if you like know you're fighting a bunch of debuffs. And then she also can have some self-sustain on her S1. And again, she is a single target, like tankier support character. So I'm gonna also say she's not a priority. Now for something like PvP, fighting against a Malavi, or Slaha, like all of those, like who have like really like terrible dots and debuffs, then she's really great. Especially for like even Wraith, you can take the unhealable off. Like those are characters that you would be fighting against to use her with, but you're not really doing that in PvE. So again, not a character I would want to grab on the selective summon while pushing through story. All right, so we have the Edgelord Verol Slasher Dark. On the S1 in his normal mode, deals damage equal to 90% of attack to an enemy and a 20% chance to gain 1 Berserk stack. Berserker mode consumes 3 Berserk stacks to deal damage equal to 90% of attack to an enemy. On the Alpha normal mode, increases chance to gain Berserk stack by 10%. On the Beta Berserker mode, 30% chance of not consuming Berserk stack. And here goes this storybook of Berserk. HP absorption increases relative to the number of Berserk stacks. Once the Berserk stack count reaches 10, it triggers Berserker mode. Berserker mode attack increases and defense decreases relative to HP loss. HP absorption equivalent to 10 Berserk stacks is active. As long as Berserk stacks remain, the hero will revive when the HP reaches 0 once per battle. And absorb HP absorbs a certain amount of damage dealt as HP. It's a lot. In the S2 normal mode, the first hit deals damage equal to 70% of attack to an enemy, followed by a second hit that damages all enemies for 45% of attack. Creates a shield equal to 10% of total HP for 2 turns. 50% chance to gain 3 Berserk stacks. Berserker mode, consume 2 Berserk stacks and damage 1 target for 70% of attack and all enemies for 45% of attack. On the Alpha normal mode, increases chance to gain Berserk stack by 20%. On the Beta Berserker mode, 40% chance of not consuming Berserk stack. On the S3 normal mode, deals 140% of attack to an enemy and 80% chance to gain 2 Berserk stacks. In Berserker mode, consume 4 Berserk stacks to deal 140% of attack to an enemy. On the Alpha normal mode, gain 1 additional Berserk stack. On the Beta Berserker mode, Berserk stacks consumption reduced by 1. So this character 1 has a crap ton going on with him, and for new players, this is not going to be a recommended character if you just aren't one who is just all about like just strategizing how to use a unit. So I will say that this character Verol is, yes, seems very strong, especially with the fact that he has a lot of sustain. Kind of the things that I was talking about with Gas, how Gas has sustain, this character does as well. Also has ways to do AoE damage on the S2, right? And it seems it's pretty easy to keep up your Berserk stacks as long as you just use him correctly. I would say that this character is going to be on the same tier of Gas for the fact that you have more sustain than Gas. You might not be able to lower your cooldowns, and you might not do like as much damage possibly, but this all looks insane. And I've seen a lot of people build this character, so I'm gonna put him up at the same tier of Gas. Anyways, let's move on. All right, and last we have Cursebay. He's a shooter, fire. This old man on his S1 has a 25% chance to inflict ignorance on one enemy for 1 turn and deal damage equal to 90% of attack. On the Alpha, increases chance to trigger ignorance by 20%. On the Beta, 30% chance to cast debuff hit up on self for 1 turn. Ignorance is no buffs are granted while unbuffable status for a certain turn. On the S2, 40% chance to inflict hit down on one enemy for 1 turn and deal damage equal to 110% of attack. On the Alpha, if the target is affected by debuff, cast penetration up to an ally with the highest attack for 1 turn. On the Beta, extends debuff hit down effect by 1 turn. And penetration up is penetration increased by 40%, which is not bad. On the S3, ignores all debuffs on you except for petrification, sleep, silence. Okay, so anything that's like a CC, a hard CC, and inflicts damage equal to 100% of attack on all enemies, 40% chance to apply hit down for 1 turn. On the alpha, increases chance to trigger hit down by 30%. On the beta, extends hit down effect by 1 turn. So this is a character that's going to be similar to Mint's, but seems slightly better than Mint's. But like, I would still say this is a PvP character because the fact that he, you know, is ignoring all debuffs, you're not truly debuffed too many times. Like occasionally on some like activities you are, especially if you're doing like challenges, you get hit with like an attack down, like which like this helps out with. But like the hit down, like it does save your team from taking damage as the enemies are missing and you're missing all the debuffs. But again, that's like a PvP thing. This right here, giving the penetration up, yes, it is a DPS like increase, but it's also gonna be used like more so in PvP to give your like to give your cleaver like just extra penetration to just cleave the rest of the team past their debuffs. And then the S1, making sure they don't buff themselves, is to like take a Malavi's buffs away from herself, or is like anybody who can buff himself with attack up, you can just pretty much get rid of that, right? So I'm gonna say that this is a character that's like a little above Mint's, but again, not a priority. All right, guys, so I'm gonna make this really quick. Also, we're gonna have a little bit of a change to this one because of the units that we have. After thinking about it, gonna be changing some units. So I'm actually gonna be putting Mint's here in the C tier because she does have AoE. Also gonna be putting Cursebay there and Ekaterina because they all have AoE. Putting Destar here in B because you want to make sure that you get Sawar and the DPS up above. Again, healer's really great, but you don't want to just start off with the healer. Honestly, defense down is really good, and we already have a healer. I'm dropping her down in D because yes, even though she does have sustain on her S1, just the rest of her kit being single target and transferring debuffs, she's not doing a serious amount of damage. She's not going to be doing a lot of clearing or anything like that, so she's going to go down in D. Helena is going to go up in the A tier. She has really solid single target damage that she can use, and honestly her kit seems really great with the Qigong, so she's going up in A. All right, and we're going to be putting Noah down in D because she is literally a character that you need a specific type of grass user to use. You need a grass team built around her. You need to be going against water elements, and that's not going to help you while going through the story. Her kit just will not be the greatest unless you just build a full grass team, which is not going to be also the greatest because there's going to be some enemies that are just going to burn you alive. So putting her down in D. Now Verol is going up here. Verol's gonna go up here in S. I'm not sure if I'm gonna put, yeah, I'm above any of these people, but Verol's kit with the single target damage and the sustain puts him on the level of Gas. It's gonna be above Kes Carson because yes, even though Verol lowers the defense, he has more sustain than Kes Carson. He's able to access it. All right, but this pretty much concludes our selective summon tier list for global when we start. Hopefully this information was of use to you. If it was, please hit the like button. Comment down below if you guys have any questions or you have anything to say about this, and please subscribe to the channel. That way you guys can get more Eroica content. Please help me with that algorithm. I want to keep bringing you guys this content. So you also can talk with me in Discord. I have that link down below. Also, make sure that you pre-register the game. I'm going to be saying it on every video as much as I can because I want to make sure I get those rewards. Please pre-register. But anyways, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. You lucky gamers, have a good one. Lucky Lux out.